Hello and welcome to In the Art Scene podcast, an art podcast that has it all. I'm your host, Galina Marquez, and I invite fascinating people to talk about their personal creative journeys, success stories, and inspiration. We talk about art business and marketing, how to find your creative voice, and all the new trends in the art world like NFT, AI, and such. Join me and my guest for today's conversation. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to In the Art Scene podcast. I have an interesting person, like I usually do, of course. But this time I'm talking not to an artist. I'm talking to the CEO of the Sustainability and Communications Agency. And you ask me, what does it have to do with art? Well, they just opened a really cool community space that is open for art shows, art workshops, all kinds of creative things. And well, Johnathan Hanwit, CEO of THINK Parallax, the communication agency that I just mentioned. Welcome to In the Art Scene podcast. And let's talk a little bit first about you, about what you do, and how on earth did you decide to just, open the space for a creative community?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to talk about it. I never thought that I'd be talking about this or even doing it. So it's funny how life works out that sometimes you don't know how you get here, but you, looking back, realize how it all happened. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. Would you like me to give some background on the company first and then kind of go into the space, or just focus on the space?
Yeah, let's talk about company a little bit, because I think it will be interesting to see the connection between what you do in your core business and how it relates to the space.
Sure. I'll try not to overdo it on the explanation of the company. So the company, it's a sustainability strategy, reporting, and communications company. And we've been around for 20 years, but over the years, the company has really evolved. And so it started off as a brand agency, a web agency, a comms agency. And then in about 2010, which I know is 13 years ago, I realized that all the projects were kind of purpose focused, as in they were making a positive impact on the community or with employees. And they weren't really actually to sell anything. So I narrowed down the focus of the company to be focused on purpose. We said building brands with purpose. And then about 3 or 4 years later, 2014 or 15, we narrowed down our focus to the corporate social responsibility world. And so as a company, we're
quite a transition. That's quite a transition from branding.
Yeah, well, we've been doing brand projects and communications projects, and some of them had been for really big corporates like Qualcomm or some other folks. And so we've been doing some of that work. It just wasn't really our only focus, because we've been working with nonprofits and NGOs. So we made it our core focus. And that's what it is today. And so maybe I'll take a minute to explain what that looks like.
Sure.
So the company, so we're working with mostly really big publicly traded companies, and they have a department that's focused on environmental and social issues. And so we're helping them develop strategies to minimize their impact on the environment and maximize their impact with kind of all things related to kind of social impact with people. And then really helping them kind of tighten up the governance of how they run their company. So we do this strategy of putting the plan kind of in place for those big buckets, E, S, and G, environmental, social, and governance issues. And then we produce reports, kind of how their progress is, how they're moving to meeting their goals. And then we do communications work, which is not marketing, but it's just telling the story of the kind of impact that they're making with those projects. Again, it could be anything from how they're focused on decarbonization, reducing their carbon footprint, to the diversity and equity program they have at their company, to the steps the CEOs taken to transition the company and the workforce. It kind of runs the gamut. So we live in this world of what we call sustainability or corporate sustainability. And I think in general, while it's very corporate, it's in some way we're trying to make a positive impact in the world with the impact that we're making through our clients. And so it's rooted into our values, kind of who we are and what we do. And we've had an office in downtown Encinitas, a little beach town, which I know we used to be at. And our office, we've had 2, and over COVID, we narrowed down to 1 office. And then it's about 1,000 square foot, really nice storefront office. It's on 2nd Street, which is 1 street over from the main PCH in Encinitas. And I sat there alone. I guess this is probably almost 2 years ago now in the space. I mean, for I would say a year at least, but definitely a very long time. And I thought to myself while I was there that I had a lot of thoughts, but I was thinking over the years in Encinitas, and this is probably long before you knew it, but there was a coffee shop, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but it was down the street, and they had different nights of the week, like spoken word and like different ways of doing like creative expression. And then I think in the 70s and 80s, next to the big movie theater, um, there was a bookstore apparently, and people would go there to meet. I guess it was like a creative hub. Again, this is like before my time, but it was the place, and people have told me where people got together to guess to have interesting conversations, maybe to like maybe share artwork, but it was like a creative expressions outlet. And as far as I know, those two spots, and I've been here for more than 15 years, are the ones that were sort of what I saw as a way for people to be able to kind of express themselves creativity, not to put people in a bucket. So as I sat there, I was like, well, why don't I just turn our office space into something like that? Is that possible? Can I do that? And then on that note, I thought to myself, well, we have 30 employees around the country, and there's still 7 of them that live within San Diego. And I wanted to figure out a way to keep a space where we could meet as a team. So, and this is a kind of funny note to my past, but my dad in the 80s had a bagel store, and he tried to turn it into a restaurant at night because he was like, well, I have a restaurant space and I have a kitchen and I have like a bar and stuff. I'll just convert it to be a restaurant. It didn't work, failed. But he was basically using the space like a multi-use for the space. So in kind of an ode to that, I thought to do the exact same thing. So I converted the space. We both used for my team and folks to have kind of meetings at. Built a back wall, put really nice recessed lighting and track lighting for the artwork, and then got 4 big tables and 20 chairs. So during the day, when we come to work, we can roll all the tables and chairs out and we work. And then any other time, the space can be converted to whatever it needs to be. So I thought that, I did that, got the money, paid to renovate it, bought all the new desks and the chairs, and then it became, and we have with our company, the company is called THINK Parallax, and we have kind of like a little bit of a media arm where we write articles, we have our own events, we produce like white papers, and we call it perspectives. And it's just like different perspectives. And so that's why we named the space Perspective Space, because it's sort of like an extension of an actual physical space of taking in different perspectives and letting people kind of express themselves, which is what we're doing with the company. That's where the name comes from. And a parallax itself is looking at something from 2 different angles. So it just kind of fits with that whole mantra. So I'll pause there and then I can kind of explain to you what happened. But does that all make sense?
It does. So Perspective Space is in your main office, right?
It is the same thing. It's
Wow.
one and the same.
Okay. So I know. Okay, let's. First of all, I got to visit. I haven't been there in I don't know how long, so I should come and visit. And I was going to take a couple of workshops that are now listed on the website. So that will be fun. I know already that you are bringing some very interesting creatives around San Diego to use your space for different purposes. So what were like the most outstanding for you that you have encountered so far? I mean, it's been a couple of years, right?
It's been functioning. Oh, sorry. Let me grab my phone and hand that off real quick. Sorry about that. I just got a new computer, and my phone and my computer are not connected. It's been open for probably a year and a half, but the opening was kind of me doing like a soft launch of like, can I make this work? And the very beginning, probably the first really fun thing that we did was there was a women's surf brand. It's called Her Waves, and she has all different types of illustrators that produce all the artwork for clothes, bags, posters. It's just a ton. I don't know how many, probably between 20 and 50 illustrators. And so the event was 6 of the illustrators sharing their work. There's a little back kind of patio. Someone played some music, and then a percentage of all the sales of all the artwork went to Changing Tides, which is a foundation or a nonprofit here that's it's benefiting women that are working on taking care of the environment. And so we put that together. We put a lot of energy promoting it, and it actually worked. I think about 350 people came.
Oh, wow,
which
nice.
I was sort of in shock that it got that many people. And it combined the idea of like, it was free. People could come to the event. They had got, some food and drink sponsors. It benefited a nonprofit. It showcased all these different artists. And when the artists first came in, there was 2 or 3 of them that were local, and they were so excited to hang their artwork that haven't done this before. But in the end, to date, now we've had 53 different people come in and use the space, which just, I can't believe it. And that's just, and I can explain to you who's been coming and a little bit more about what's been really interesting. It's honestly like the excitement and the energy around all the different people that are using the space and have used it. That's the best part of all of it. So if you can imagine like a new artist or new creator or a person with a new company or a new brand that it's the first time they get to to showcase their work in a public space, invite the world, and the costs are really, really, really affordable. It's giving them as a very low barrier of entry. So they're doing it, and the excitement around what they're doing and that's within them, it's like priceless. I think maybe it's because I'm getting old and I don't see it that much. But it's really fun to see people that are you couldn't imagine the level of excitement because it solidifies the legitimacy of them being an artist or a creator. It becomes real at that moment because otherwise they're doing something in their house. And as soon as it's in public, it's launched, people come that they don't know. It gives them some level of confidence that they didn't have before, it's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah, our community is the best.
Yeah. So what's been happening there, it's a mix of people that are using it on a regular basis. And then every month there's a different art installation. So people install on the first of the month, and then they'll hang their artwork up, they'll title their show, then they'll have an art opening. And typically it's on like a Friday or Saturday. They'll host the event. We'll promote it. We'll get, there's been anywhere between 50 and 150 people that come. And then on the 31st, they take it down, clean up the walls, and then the next person comes in. And so that's happening 12 times throughout the year. And with multiple months, there's more than one artist. So maybe there's a theme and there's one artist that has a general focus on X, Y, or Z, and they have other friends that are in that same kind of realm or not, and they share the wall space. And I think that's been fun to see that collaborations. And then in conjunction, the artist might donate some of the profit to a nonprofit that they partner with, or there's just a way that they're trying to work on benefiting the community. So that's all the artwork every month. And some of the artists, like Oriana, is having like a workshop in conjunction with the art. And so they're just taking like a Saturday or a Sunday, the whole day or half the day to work on printmaking techniques or photography techniques, or kind of runs the gamut. There was a live podcast in there with a woman that used natural dyes for cloth for clothing. I didn't know that was a thing. That was in there last week. So there's been just a crazy mix of different types of, we'll call them creators, that have used the space. And then in addition, there's people that every week use the space. So what that looks like is there's a men's circle, a women's circle, some breathwork classes. There's a writing
drawing
club.
I saw, right?
A live drawing club.
Yes.
Yeah, she's been doing it, and she's been really going outside the box. Her name is Jen. It's called Up Stardust Live, and she's usually doing it on Thursdays from like 6:30 or so to 9:30. She gets in a model, like a nude model, and then she has like wine and maybe like some light appetizers. Has the model, I think it's maybe $30 or $35 to come in there, and that you paint the model or draw the model. She has all the art supplies. again, from like 7 to 9. And then the last time she's had someone coming and playing music or doing like sound bowls and then meditation at the same time. So it's been a really interesting, cool combination of different ideas that are pulled together to put on an event like that. So again, it's beyond my wildest imagination to think that these things would have even have happened, much less how they're happening. Is just, I can't tell you how much better it is than they even thought it would be. And I think it's like clearly was a need. It's the right time and the right place in Encinitas and in the world. And I think having a low barrier to entry with a cost and like being really accepting and like organized about how we house it and setting clear expectations has been the thing that's really worked well. So it's been great across the board.
Well, awesome. So, and it's actually a good segue to my next question. Clearly, there is a need, and from what I know, that little that I know about the artists, you just give them space, and yeah, they will do all kinds of things with it. But speaking about the low barrier entry, can you share what that looks like?
Yeah, it might change. It might change next year because it's really low, but for the artists, they get the space for an entire month, and we just charge them $1,000. We don't take any kind of a commission. They're responsible for putting the artwork up. They're responsible for cleaning it up when we have the paint and all the materials for when they're finished. And then we help promote the reception. They have a reception, typically one. Sometimes they have two, and then they can use the space to come and show that someone came yesterday when I was working to show the artwork. So if they say, hey, we should coordinate, can we come in at 3 o'clock on Tuesday for an hour? Do you want to walk around and show the artwork? It's all kind of part of the fee. So for the artwork, it's been $1,000. People that are doing workshops that use the space for the whole day, which has been separate from the artwork. And if it was someone that was an artist that wanted to use the space for the day, we would probably charge $200. But if it's a separate person, which has probably been like maybe 8 or 10 that use the space for the entire day, like on a Saturday, Sunday, we've been charging $400. And they've come in and done everything from workshops, strategy planning meetings, to meditation, healing, all kinds of mind, body healing, whole day events, and that's $400. And then the other thing that we've been doing is the people that are using it weekly, we charge them $50 an hour. And so they have to commit to 4 weeks. 4 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want to use it for 2 hours, it's $100. If they want to use it for 1 hour, it's $50. And we want them to use it for 4 weeks. So that would be if they just came in for an hour, it's $50 an hour. So I don't know how that strikes you, but to me, and I think it must be on our website too. It's for the people that have come in there, it appears as though no one has been turned off by the cost.
No, it's great. I can only imagine how it's going to grow in the future, and I can't even see that by next year it might overtake your agency completely. Maybe you'll have to open another space which is completely separate from your office, because again, you give artists the space, and yeah.
What would be good to get some feedback on, and we can maybe at the end of the year we'll have like a reconnect with all the artists just to get their feedback. Is we could do it every 2 weeks if there was enough interest. Right now, if actually the whole year is filled up, so I guess there is a lot of interest. I
was going to ask you, what was my next question, if you have a wait list or something.
I think there was 1 month that was available, but I think that actually the whole year is full. So then we could think about, do we do it every 3 weeks and we charge like $750? We'll have to. We're losing money. Like the company, THINK Parallax, is paying for the difference. So it'd be great for us to break even. So maybe we need to charge $750 for 3 weeks, or the 1 month becomes $1,250, or there's just a cost. Just the price will go up a little bit at some point, maybe next year. But yeah, I think if we could figure out a better, more efficient way of doing it, that would be allowing more artists to share their artwork. And if it was like every 2 weeks, If it felt like there was enough momentum, then we would for sure change it. Nothing is set in stone. I think that's the beauty of being flexible and knowing that things can evolve and actually be better than they were. That's a general understanding of life. This space, the same thing will happen with the space. I just don't exactly know what it's going to become.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
Hey, In the Arts Scene listeners. I just wanted to say a quick thank you for all the support you've given me in the past year. It means more than you know. Every donation through Buy Me a Coffee and every purchase of swag helps me keep up with the production and put out a new episode every week. And I certainly appreciate if you will keep doing it. But I also feel that if you like the show this much, you deserve a little more than just a thank you. This is why I launched a Patreon page. There will be monthly live Q&As, exclusive content, and for the hardcore fans, I got some swag and keepsakes. I love this community that we are building together. And by joining my Patreon, you will help me create more content for you. Go to patreon.com/intheartscene and join today.
Yes, so on the website, it says that the space is for all kinds of creative people, for all kinds of gatherings that are purpose-driven and that promote the positive impact and inspiration. So how do you determine if the artist or whatever creative or whatever group is coming to you and asking if the space would be available for this particular function or project is actually a good fit for what the space promises to community?
That's a very, very good question. And I don't think, typically we've talked about having like a proper checklist, like a vetting system. I think there's a certain level of professionalism. And if we just, with everyone that's used the space, they need to have some level of experience, professionalism, and examples of the work that they've done. And I'm on the site right now looking through all the events, which there's a lot. It's great to see. Just that they've all done it before, they can prove that they've done it before, and that's of a certain standard. Granted, this is not the MoMA, or we're not, the level of like programming and artwork is more that it's for the community in a way that people can express themselves and connect with the community. But in terms of their work, in terms of who they are as people, in terms of how they interact with us, there's sort of a general level of professionalism that's expected. And there's been a few folks that have come and asked to have an event or share their work, and it didn't make the grade. And I can't say that would happen very often, but it was more of just that lack of professionalism and relative experience on what they could share and show with what they have. That makes sense. And do you think that's fair?
I don't know. It's everything is subjective. I mean, a lot of galleries around have special kind of a jury committee that would judge whether the artwork belongs in the show or not. You guys have your own kind of a understanding of what you want to bring to the community, so I guess it's up to you to decide whether people who are showing in your space are actually bringing that level of good that you are hoping or not. So there's no, I've never seen any guidelines specifically for that, but I guess it is. I mean, you've been doing this for 20 years, so
well,
you know what good looks like, right?
I've been doing my business for 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I haven't been running a community space for 20 years.
Well, you seem to be doing a good job at this.
It is working. I mean, I think what would make it even better is that more people could be engaged with the space, and it could be utilized better because it's still empty, a lot of the time, and that it's not really like a money thing. I mean, great, okay, it would be fantastic if it breaks even, but it's more that there's probably more people that could use the space in North County, and it would be a productive use of their time.
Yeah,
and it benefits the community.
I have a couple questions. So during the work hours, is it open for public or not? It's probably not. By request.
No, by request, yes.
Yeah.
And again, someone came in. I was there working there yesterday, and someone came in for an hour or 45 minutes to look at the artwork. Like, so the artist knew, and she said, "Can I come in and share?" So for that month that the artist has their artwork up there, we have a code on the door, and she or he knows the code in the door, and they can come in and use the space whenever they like, assuming that it works. But yeah, whenever they want to come in there.
So, and who are you trying to invite in terms of artists? So you're working only with the people who are in North County, San Diego, or the entire San Diego, or the entire state of California, who can come and use your place?
Anyone. We don't have a criteria on who can or can't use the space. I mean, I would say everyone. And again, I think the criteria is just like a level of professionalism and experience that is of a standard, which I don't think I had defined, which I guess we should, that meets the need. So, I mean, on that note, I mean, for that matter, you could have someone coming over from Europe or from New York or from LA or from somewhere else, which I know there's been comedy shows in there. And I know, I just would never have guessed, but all the comedians have been from LA. So they come down with the three of them. I don't know how it's organized, but there's like a pop-up comedy night in the space. And what's been beautiful is like you see that the artwork keeps changing. So they keep coming and it's like the space keeps changing.
Uh-huh.
And they come down from LA and they do a comedy show. So I think anybody could use the space anywhere as long as, again, meets that baseline criteria.
Oh, it sounds really awesome. So I have a question. So it is still a workspace for you and for your team, right? And I know that most of you work remotely, so yeah, the space is kind of empty. But when you get together and spend time in the office, how does it make you feel? What kind of impact did this transformation do on you and your team?
I mean, I think it's wonderful, especially if because the artwork brings a certain mood and a certain energy to the space. And for me, I've been like, God, this is the smartest thing I've done in years. It's like, imagine you're at your home and a good artist comes in and remodels your house. It just like pulls all the artwork off all your walls and puts all new artwork on all your walls. And it's just like, honestly, it sounds cheesy, but it's a completely new perspective. I know that's the name of the space and the company, but it's a new perspective. So it's like May 17th. So there's 13 more days of the people that are in there now. There's 2 or 3 or 4 artists in there now. And I saw a preview of one piece of art of the next person. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this going to look like? So there's a certain level of excitement around what the new person that's going to come in and show the artwork. And then the entire space, the energy changes. And I know this is like an art podcast, and I don't need to convince anybody, but like the visual aesthetic drives so much like meaning and feeling, which, duh, right? Okay, like you have a modern house, you have like a mid-century house, you have like an old cottage, and the artwork is the same, and design and brand and all that stuff. And you go in there and there's nothing in there but white walls and artwork and some plants. It completely changes the feeling. And so the guy, it looks like really illustrative in like a fun way and kind of bright colors. So I can say now it's going to exude that feeling when we're in there, which it honestly changes your mood, to some degree. So it's just like a win-win-win-win. And you can imagine someone comes into your house, pulls off every single piece of artwork on your wall, and then you're not there, and then you come home the next day, and then all the artwork has changed. I mean, hopefully you like it, but it changes the feeling in such a nice way that it's been wonderful. I mean, I wish we could extrapolate the same idea for businesses or some other way where people's artwork rolls in and out of different spaces. Because I think the value is like almost, I don't know how I can put a price on it, but I think people would love it.
I actually, there are companies who are doing it, and I can share with you some information offline if you're interested. Yeah, it's actually a business model And for a while, I was entertaining the idea of trying something like that, but I just don't have time and capacity to do things on my own. I have too much stuff on my plate. But I can share some information with you. It's a pretty interesting concept.
Yeah, I think it would be great.
Yeah. Well, so how can people find your place and book it? And do you have, like, if, let's say, a new artist who has no idea of what it looks like wants to see the space beforehand, do you offer the tours or?
Yeah, of course. There's a woman, her name is Kayla, and she manages the space. But if you go to our website, perspectivespace.com, there's a tab that says book the space. And you can go to that page and you can see it has what the options are. And then separately, her email is on there. And she explains what the options are, and you can connect with her, and then she's really on top of it. So she'll respond to you within a day or at the most 2 days, and then coordinate a time for you to come in and take a look at the space and go from there. And then she knows all the availability, and you can see on the site, currently, if you click on events, it has the events for the entire month and then every single night a week. So you can kind of figure out where there might be opportunities for you to have an event or join one. And I can see there's a lot of things happening. So you could come and join, just drop in. And any of these, I think all of the ones that are on the site now, you could just drop in. So even it's the art nights, which the next one coming up is June 3rd, and it's from 6 to 10 is the next. His name is Corey Grabs. I believe it's a him. And he has an art show. And you can just pop by. There's no fee or anything. There's probably free food and drinks. And then for the other sessions of Stardust Live, that's the live nude drawing, or the writing groups, or the Reiki circle, or the women's circle, or the men's circle, this Kundalini piece, there's a fee, and the fees, from my experience, have been between 20 and maybe $40. And you can just drop in. You can find a time, you can message the people to reserve a spot. But I think with all of them, you can just drop in.
So there's no way
would be free.
So, for example, if I want to take a workshop and it's listed on the perspectivespace.com, I cannot buy a ticket from your website. I will have to contact whoever is organizing the event, right?
That's a very good question. I'm going to look right now to see what the answer is. Actually, no. So you go on our site, like there's a guy that has it's a immersion, a men's immersion, which is a full day event on Saturday, June 24th. Has an explanation of what it is, and it says click here, and then it goes to his site where you would log in and submit your information to reserve a spot. And that's the case with all the events.
Okay, well, that sounds really good. Yeah, I'll make sure. Well, first of all, I already know a couple of workshops that I want to take.
But I'm definitely going to personally do that one with Oriana.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you're familiar with what that is. She's like a scientist from Scripps, and she uses kelp to develop
this cyanotypes. Yeah.
Cyanotype.
Yeah, cyanotype. I know I've had another cyanotype, a few cyanotype artists on the podcast, and I actually have seen live one of them creating stuff out of whatever, just outside, and then washing the paper in the ocean, and it was awesome. And so Oriana, we're talking about Oriana Poindexter, who at some point will be a guest on the podcast as well. She is the ocean scientist and an artist. She's using kelp, which is seaweed, very popular here in the West Coast, to create cyanotypes of artwork. And it's amazing. It's really awesome. And she's teaching this workshop at Perspective Spaces, and I believe that she will be teaching through the entire summer, maybe beyond, because this episode is coming out sometime in July. I will make sure to make all the points, references, links, everything. So if you want to take some workshops, go to the creativespace.com, find whatever you're interested in, book the spots, and or just go to the new show opening, which happens, I believe, at the beginning of every month at this point. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's been so interesting for me to learn about what's actually happening out there, because I've been kind of oblivious myself to I'll just say what people are creating. And she's one person which I happen to have met like a year or two ago. But the people that have come in there that, it's just, I think that's been the most beautiful thing, is just seeing different perspectives and different ways that people are seeing the world and how they're thinking about the world and how they're expressing themselves, and providing a venue for them to do that where personally I actually get the benefit from it. Just either I'm part of the experience or I learn from it. It's been wonderful.
Are you thinking of becoming an artist yourself?
No, but I run this agency, which has been a creative agency for all these years. And I do realize that there's a lot of forms of creativity. And I know that I'm a creative person because I have a lot of ideas, but my handwriting is horrible. I can't really draw anything. And I have done some creative projects in the past. So I think I'll do some in the future. I just don't know if they'd be worthy of anybody actually looking at them on the wall.
That's not the point.
No, that's not the point. And I have done things that I think were worthy of, they're like creative expressions. But no, I to some degree, I think most people are kind of artists. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's not true. But I think that me taking driftwood and drilling holes that were big enough for tea lights, little candles, really big pieces of driftwood, so making like a big, I wouldn't call it artwork, but I wouldn't say it's not creative.
Oh, it is creative.
Yeah.
So and it definitely enhances your space, right?
Yeah.
So maybe at some point it would be a fun idea, for you and your team to take some workshops throughout the year and then reserve a couple of weeks to showcase whatever you have done.
On that note, two things are happening. In September, it is the 20-year anniversary of THINK Parallax. And so we are going to take up all the wall space. And I think it's going to be probably a lot of a timeline of all of our work, which is just like a lot of artwork. And maybe we'll showcase a few artists from perspectives that have been there, that have shown over the last 2 years. And then one of my employees, her name is Kirsten, I think in October or November, December, I forget which month, she is a resident artist. So she's actually going to share her work. So that's really fun. That
nice.
She gets to share her work. So we will, and in that September month, when we have our timeline of everything that we've done as a company, I said to the whole team, and there's 30 of us, this is your opportunity. If you have some artwork that you want to share with the world, we can use the walls for that specifically. So I don't know what's going to happen in September, but I could imagine that there will be some folks from my team that have some artwork on the walls. And then I'm not sure which month, October, November, December, we have one of our employees that's going to be the artist. So
awesome.
So yes,
awesome.
We are.
Well, maybe you can introduce me to her to me, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do an episode right before the show goes up.
That'd be a great idea. Yeah. I can even introduce you now. I'll introduce you now, and then if the time is right, you guys can connect. And
yeah, absolutely. That would be awesome.
Well, great. Anything else?
No, I think it's been a great conversation. First of all, thank you so much for your time. We spoke for almost an hour.
Okay. Well, I have a tendency to talk too much, so it's probably my fault.
No, it's normal for this podcast. It's normal. I tend to go long, and it's really, I found that it's really difficult to talk about creative stuff for less than an hour. I tried for a couple of seasons. I badly tried to limit myself to like 30 to 40 minutes, and then I decided, well, heck it. Because there's not enough in 30 minutes, it's just not enough juice. And then sometimes I go over and then I have a hard decision to make what is going to be cut off. But
I could imagine. Well, I guess share this with me when it's live. Absolutely. You'll get all the links, and on my website, intheartscene.com, you guys find the show notes for this episode, all the links and references, everything we were talking about, some pictures, and of course, the website and the physical address of the space will be there. So if you are an artist, a creative
person in San Diego, or going to visit San Diego and bring your artwork over here and looking for a space to exhibit or do some workshops. I mean, you just need to commit for a month, which is, it's a nice, San Diego is a nice space to spend a month in. So consider Creative Space. It's a really, really cool initiative.
Cool.
All
your
right,
site looks great. Well, great. I'll wait to hear back from you. I just want this live, and then I'll introduce you to Kirsten, which would be not till the fall.
Awesome. Thank you again, Johnathan, and we'll see you next time in the art scene.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
It has been another episode of In the Art Scene podcast. If you liked today's conversation, please give us a good review on Apple. And go listen to other great stories. Check out our website intheartscene.com or follow us on Instagram at intheartscene for more content. If you are a creative and you want to share your story, shoot us a message from the website or DM us on Instagram. Look forward to seeing you next time in the art scene.